The CEO of the Tobacco, Alcohol and Gambling Advisory, Advocacy and Action Group says the ban on liquor and cigarette sales should remain in place. This is despite growing calls for it to be lifted. The body's Peter Ucko argues that alcohol and tobacco products are highly harmful to the economy because of the cost to public health care. He says the cost far outweighs the tax revenue government receives. Ucko joins us now to talk about this and more. Peter, good evening and thank you for your time. You're saying this would have been a perfect opportunity for some Q&Q, quit under quarantine, the best way to quit smoking.
Yes, certainly quitting in quarantine is an opportunity, albeit under a little duress, to make the decision to quit smoking. Already research indicates that 16% of smokers in South Africa have quit smoking. That's close to 1 million smokers. New non-smokers have become available. I think that's amazing. And a similar thing applies to alcohol. Alcohol is not a necessity. Alcohol is not an essential item. Sure, there are some people who might enjoy a glass of wine or a beer. What concerns us is that tomorrow when the bottle store opens, people are going to spend too much money on alcohol, and they're going to probably try and make up for the lost weeks of not drinking. So we're going to have binge drinking, we're going to have drunk parents and maybe abused children, maybe abused spouses. It's a tragedy, I think, waiting to happen. We should try and avoid that. There's no reason to unban the sale of alcohol. And as I said, people might enjoy a glass of wine or a beer, but if they do it excessively, they get drunk and harm is caused. Remember always, alcohol is a Class A carcinogen.
Lobby groups and industry players have said, well, the ban on sale of alcohol and tobacco has really had no effect. In fact, it served no purpose because people did not stop. They continued to get their fix. I mean, 4.9 million cigarette smokers, for example, had access to cigarettes, according to the UCT survey. And unfortunately, they were breaking the law, but that's what they were doing.
Yes, that's one of the downsides of the prohibition on the sale of tobacco products, is that the illicit trade, the underground market, the criminal syndicates are entrenching themselves more into the market, and it's going to be very difficult to uproot them. And that includes, by the way, the formal industry, because the illegal traders do not get their cigarettes out of thin air. They get brands from the legal manufacturers, as well as, of course, the smuggling through the borders at Messina and through Botswana. Those are tragedies that are just going to be very, very difficult to fix in the future, the entrenchment of illicit trade. But it remains that both products, alcohol and nicotine, are addictive, both cause deaths, both cause enormous societal harm, especially alcohol, with family abuse, gender-based violence, and all the negative things that we do not want in South Africa. So I continue to encourage people to do, as you did in your introduction, to promote quitting in quarantine. Use the opportunity. It's there. It's presented to you. Just become a non-smoker. Save money, save your life, save the lives of your family, make the money available for better purposes like food and education material.
Public health cost versus the tax revenue. Is it worth it? We're talking about some odd billions in 29 days that have been lost because of the ban.
Yes, certainly some revenue has been lost, but remember that the money itself is not lost. So take the 1 million people who we estimate have actually quit smoking. The money that they used to spend on tobacco products is not lost. It's still in the economy. They go and buy food and they buy other things that they need for their homes. They spend it on clothing. So they create jobs and create tax income in those areas for the government. So it's not a total loss. And you must also look at what does the industry exist for? Only one reason. That's to make a profit to pay dividends for shareholders. And they don't care who dies on the way or which illegal trade they supply on the way, because around the world there's a plethora of information that indicates that the formal manufacturers and formal importers around the world are involved with syndicated gangs and syndicated crime. It's a great tragedy But I repeat, quit in quarantine. There's no need to smoke. There's no good reason to smoke. And there's no really excessively good reason to drink. Just, hey, stop. It's actually quite easy, or it can be, once you make the decision.
Peter Ucko, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight. He is the CEO of the Tobacco, Alcohol and Gambling Advisory, Advocacy and Action Group.